वासुदेवाय Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the last session of Bhagavad Gita, last chapter, last few shlokas. We discussed the first 55 shlokas of 18th chapter. In this we have seen Krishna's summary description of what he had taught in Bhagavad Gita. In the initial 12 shlokas, Krishna described bhakti or karma yoga again, working with detachment. And later, next 5 verses, 13 to 17, Krishna spoke 5 factors of action, which are specifically considered by a karma yogi to give up his doership mentality. He is not the only doer. Then we also have seen elaborately from the 18th shloka till 40th shloka, we have seen how different modes control the activities of people in this world, and how this karma, karta, buddhi, dhriti and all other aspects in this material world are influenced by 3 material modes. Then Krishna also spoke about varnashrama, prescribed duties of kshatriyas, brahmanas, vaishyas and shudras. And he also emphasized on the importance of sticking to one's prescribed duty and not adopting to someone else's duty. So up to 48 shloka Krishna has been speaking all this. All these first 48 shlokas are still under the realm of doing one's prescribed work without attachment, to not incur any reaction. Fine. So, working with the spirit of renunciation is karma yoga. But once you are mature in such reaction-free work, and by such reaction-free work, or by doing such work with detachment, you become very mature in your renunciation and you develop knowledge, then you can give up the work itself. Fine. So, and you start giving up work and operate on the platform of knowledge, and you come to the stage of Brahman realization. So, what is that platform of knowledge? To have knowledge about one's connection with the Supreme Lord. Okay, knowledge about matter and spirit, and the spirit soul and the supremely spiritual Lord and the connection between them. So, and once you start acting on that spiritual platform in your eternal relationship with the Lord, then that Jnana Yoga is transformed into Bhakti Yoga. Okay. So, Jnana Yoga constitutes of knowledge and detachment. Karma Yoga constitutes of working with your senses while cultivating knowledge and detachment. Jnana Yoga means giving up work and taking to full renunciation and becoming mature in renunciation and mature in knowledge. And that maturity in knowledge of the Supreme Lord and one's relationship with the Supreme Lord brings you to the stage of Bhakti Yoga. Okay. And on the platform of Bhakti Yoga, you act as a spirit soul, as a part and parcel of the Lord, as a servant of the Lord. And you again perform your activities, which could be prescribed activities, okay, as a part of your varna, dharma, but you act, you do all those activities for the pleasure of the Lord. That is Bhakti Yoga. Fine. So we will discuss that pure Bhakti now, 55th shloka onwards. 56th. सर्वकर्माण्यपि सदा कुर्वाणो मद्व्यपाश्रयः मत्प्रसादात् अवाप्नोति शाश्वतं पदमव्ययम्. सर्वकर्माणि अपि सदा कुर्वाणो मद्व्यपाश्रयाः. My pure devotee. Although he is doing sarvakarmani, in Jnana Yoga you give up karma, but in Bhakti Yoga you again take up karma. Or you act basically. It need not be again. Not that every person has to undergo this process of coming from karma to jnana, jnana to bhakti. One can directly operate on the platform of Bhakti Yoga only. So sarva karmani api sada kurvano mad vyapashrayah. A bhakta or a devotee of Krishna performs all kinds of activities always under Krishna's protection, taking shelter of Krishna. Mad vyapashrayah. Mad prasadad avapnoti. By this he will attain Krishna's mercy. And shashvatam padamavyayam. And he even attains an eternal position in the imperishable abode, spiritual abode of Krishna. Right? So that is the 56th shloka. 57th shloka. Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matparah buddhi yogam upashritya macchittah satatam bhava. Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matparah. Very important shloka. Chetasa means your consciousness. Sarva karmani mayi sanyasya. Sarva karmani means all the activities that you perform. Mayi sanyasa means, sanyasa is giving up. Mayi sanyasa means giving up for whom? Giving up for Krishna. Basically offering to Krishna. You offer all your activities to Krishna. Chetasa, in your mind. Apparently you are doing so many activities and you may be even serving others also. But within the mind you are offering whatever you are doing to Krishna. Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya mat paraha. And totally make Krishna as the goal of your life. Then buddhi yoga upashritya, taking shelter of that buddhi yoga. What is that buddhi yoga? In this context, buddhi yoga is bhakti yoga. Means applying your intelligence in the process of devotional service is buddhi yoga here. So macchittaha satatam bhava. You should always be conscious of me. Macchittaha means be conscious of Krishna. When? Satatam, always, while doing your activities. So this is what work in Krishna consciousness means. To work in Krishna consciousness means to act for the pleasure of Krishna always. Fine? So, now acting in Krishna consciousness or acting for the pleasure of Krishna should be done under the guidance of a faithful devotee of Krishna. We ourselves cannot directly connect with Krishna and act for his pleasure. First we should be taught how to act for Krishna's pleasure. And who can teach us? A pure devotee who has already learned the art of pleasing Krishna under the guidance of superior devotees, they can only tell us. So we cannot eliminate the need for a guru in our life. So we should follow the footsteps of Guru and Guru's representatives, Diksha Guru or Diksha Guru. Okay. We may not always have access to Diksha Guru because Diksha Guru may have hundreds of disciples and thousands of disciples. But Diksha Guru may appoint some Siksha Gurus who are your primary, immediate caretakers who can guide you in your devotional service. Siksha Guru, they will give you Siksha, they will give you instructions on how to perform bhakti. Okay. So, acting according to the direction of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita and acting according to the guidance of a devotee of Krishna who has imbibed the principles of Bhagavad Gita, who has put Bhagavad Gita principles into practice. So, such devotees are needed to guide us. Fine. 58th shloka. Macchittaha sarva durgani matprasadat tarishyasi. In the 57th shloka, Krishna described how to work in Krishna consciousness or what is work in Krishna consciousness. In the last line he says, Macchittaha satatam bhava, you should always be conscious of me. So his recommendation is Macchittaha, be conscious of Krishna, be in Krishna consciousness. What is the result of being in Krishna consciousness? Macchitta. Krishna says in 58th shloka. Macchittaha, by being conscious of me, sarva durgani matprasada tarishyasi. You will cross over all obstacles in life by my grace. Fine? Macchittaha means by being Krishna conscious. Sarva durgani tarishyasi. You will cross over all obstacles. Matprasadat, by the grace of Krishna. Clear? Simple Sanskrit. For one who acts in Krishna consciousness, Krishna becomes our intimate friend and always looks after our comforts. he becomes our friend. As a friend, he will take care of us. Suhridam sarva bhutanam. He is our suhrut, right? He is our friend. And Krishna gives himself to his friend and removes all his sufferings. And what is the second half of this shloka? Krishna says, Athachetvam ahankaran nasroshyasi vinangshyasi. Okay. But if you do not hear me, okay, and act out of pride and false ego, then you will perish. Okay. So if you don't hear from Krishna, Krishna says you hear me and you will perfect your life. But if you don't hear Krishna, then why one person does not hear about Krishna, hear from Krishna, athachetvam ahankaran nasroshyasi. That nasroshyasi means not hearing from Krishna happens because of ahankara, false ego. And what is the result of not hearing Krishna out of false ego? Vinankshasi. One will be destroyed, one will perish. Okay, it's not that Krishna is threatening, he is just telling, quoting the result. If you don't follow me, this is what will happen to you. Be careful. 59th shloka. Yadahankaramashritya nayotsya iti manyase mityaisha vyavasayaste prakritistvam niyokshyasti yadahankaramashritya. By taking shelter of your ahankara. Krishna is continuing the result of not following Krishna. Result of following Krishna, he said. Result of machitta, he said. What is the result of machitta? I spoke in 58th shloka, first half. Machittaha sarva durgani.
By my mercy, you will.
Correct. By my mercy, you will overcome all obstacles. If you hear Krishna and become conscious of Krishna. But if you don't hear Krishna, what is the result? He says, you will perish. Why you don't hear about Krishna? Because of your ahankara. So Krishna is continuing that same dialogue. So out of false identity or ahankara and illusion, mohat, see, yad ahankaram ashrita nayotsya iti manyase mithaisha vyavasayaste prakritistvam niyokshasi. Prakriti, you have your own nature. Your swabhava is there. So out of illusion or out of false ego, if you don't follow Krishna, then you will have, you are falsely directed. Ahankara is directing you, not Krishna. But by your nature, you will anyways be bound to do it, the same thing. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare anyways. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. He says, it is your nature to be engaged in warfare, in this warfare. So, if you give up that war and act against your nature, which is basically against my advice, that is not good for you. You are unnecessarily being directed by your unnecessary false ego. So, 60th sloka. Svabhavajena kaunteya nibaddha svena karmana kartum nechasi yanmohat karishyasya vashopi tat. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction. But compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. You have to perform this war, participate in this battle. That is according to your swabhava. I am instructing you on something which is very natural for you, which suits you. Okay? Don't give it up. Swabhavajena karmana. Swabhavaja. Ja means that which is born of. What? Swabhava. Swabhavaja karmana. So this karma of engaging in warfare is born out of your nature of being a kshatriya. Follow it. But these are little external reasons. Arjuna's engagement in fight, according to his nature as a kshatriya, is a secondary thing. What is the ultimate teaching of Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna has to be engaged in fight because that will please Krishna. So Arjuna's engagement in fight is not his karma yoga. It is his bhakti yoga. It could be seen as karma yoga. Wonderful. But it is ultimately Bhakti Yoga. So voluntarily acting according to Lord's direction keeps one safe in all situations, because no one can ascertain one's destiny as the Supreme Lord can. Otherwise, he is compelled to act according to the modes in which he is situated. Anyways, you will fight. If you avoid this fight, because you have a nature to fight, tomorrow you will fight in some other place. Or you will take up some other kind of fight. But fight is there in your system. So better act like that. So, seeing that Arjuna still seemed to have some false concept of thinking he knew everything, and because of Arjuna's inability to give up that, Krishna teaches him in a different way in the next two slokas. 61st sloka. Ishvarah sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishthate bhramayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. Ishvarah sarvabhutanam. Ishvara means the Supreme Lord. He stays within the hearts of every single living entity. Sarvabhutanam hriddeshe. Hrit means heart. Arjuna tishtati. So Arjuna, Krishna is telling Arjuna that I stay within the hearts of every single living entity. Human or non-human. Kshatriya or non-kshatriya. Bhramayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. He is directing the wanderings of all these living entities. Bhramayan sarvabhutani. How? Yantra arudhani mayaya. These people are as if they are situated on a machine called body. Yantra here is body. Under the spell of material energy, Maya. Like dolls which are moved by strings. Okay. So after changing the bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds. So the living entity gives up one body when it becomes old or when it is killed by someone and enters another body. At that time, he forgets everything, all his past impressions and desires. But the super soul who accompanies the living entity at all times, he is the knower of past, present and future, and he reminds these are the actions that you are supposed to perform. Next, 62nd sloka. Tameva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tatprasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. So, in the 61st sloka, Krishna described about the super soul. Super soul, Paramatma, who is my form, is there in your heart, in everybody's heart. And he is directing the wanderings of all the people who are entrapped in a material body made of material nature. Fine. Now, Tameva Sharanam Gaccha, please surrender unto that super soul who is dwelling within your heart. Tameva Sharanam Gaccha Sarvabhavena Bharata, with all your might, with full devotion you surrender unto him. Tat prasadat param shantim. By his mercy, you attain transcendental peace. Param shantim. Then sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam, and you will also attain a sthanam, a position in the spiritual abode which is eternal. So, surrender to super soul. That's what he says. The purpose of knowledge just revealed is to take shelter of the Lord. Whatever Krishna is speaking till now is ultimately to bring us to a point where we surrender unto the Lord. This surrender to the super soul is for worshippers of Krishna's expansion as the super soul. So this 62nd sloka, Krishna says surrender unto super soul. 61 and 62 is surrendering to the super soul. Earlier he spoke about Brahman realization. Now he is speaking about Paramatma realization. Okay. But worshippers of Bhagavan do not surrender to super soul. They surrender directly to Krishna, who is the source of super soul. Krishna is the personality of Godhead. He expands himself as super soul and stays within the hearts of every single living entity. Krishna is the original copy. All the super souls are Xerox copies. Okay. So a devotee does not surrender to the Xerox copy. He needs the original. Krishna. Fine. And surrendering to super soul is also great, because he is a replica of Krishna. But devotee, pure devotee does not surrender just to replica. He will surrender to the original. That is 63rd sloka. You see, इति ते ज्ञानम् आख्यातं गुह्याद् गुह्यतरं मया विमृश्यैतत् अशेषेण यथेच्छसि तथा कुरु. So Krishna says, "O Arjuna, I have explained to you guhya and guhyatara jnana." See this. Iti te jnanam akhyatam. I spoke to you jnana. Jnana is knowledge. What type of jnana? Guhyad and guhyatara. Guhya means confidential knowledge. Guhyatara is more confidential knowledge. What is confidential knowledge? Knowledge about Brahman that we discussed yesterday. What is more confidential knowledge? Knowledge about Paramatma that we discussed it today. But Krishna has not yet revealed most confidential knowledge, Guhyatama, that he will speak later. That is Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. In the 62nd sloka, Krishna said, Tameva Sharanam Gacha. In the 66th sloka, Krishna says, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Tameva Sharanam, Mamekam Sharanam. You see? Tameva means I expanded myself as super soul in your heart and you surrender unto him. That is surrendering to Paramatma. Later he says, I am standing in front of you, I am Bhagavan, you surrender unto me. This is higher. Fine. Tameva Sharanam, Mamekam Sharanam. Fine. So that Krishna is going to reveal. But before revealing that, Krishna wanted to test Arjuna. You decide what you want to do. He says, Iti te jnanam akhyātam guhyāt guhyataram maya. I have spoken to you confidential knowledge and more confidential knowledge. Okay, which is Brahman realization and Paramatma realization. Vimrshaitat aseshena yathechasi tatha kuru. So deliberate it fully with your own mind. Fully. Aseshena. And yathechasi tatha kuru. Whatever you desire, you do. So decision is in your hands. Okay, you act according to your wish. I just gave you knowledge. This is good, this is bad, this is best, this is better than the best, this is not so great. So I spoke so many things to you. Now you contemplate on this and you figure out. So Krishna does not force. Okay, Bhagavad Gita does not enforce things. Bhagavad Gita only inspires you. So the concluding words are, as you like, you may act. Indicates that God does not interfere with our little independence. He can tell us what is right, what is wrong, what is best, what is worst, and what is in between best and worst. Best is here, worst is here, and in between there are so many other options. Krishna will give you all options. Krishna will give you the results of all your options. But Krishna will not impose. You have a choice. You figure out what to do. He doesn't force anyone according to his instructions, but gives knowledge, then allows people to act as per their choice. Now Arjuna silently reviewed everything within his mind. Oh, Yatechasi tatha kuru, he is saying. So I have to figure out what is the essence. Then when Arjuna went into a deep contemplation, he has to understand the deep meaning of the entire Gita scripture. Of course, he is a pure devotee, he understands everything. But Krishna glanced at Arjuna. My God, my dear friend is trying to figure out what is the essence, what is the conclusion. So he spoke, "Oh my dear friend Arjuna, you don't have to trouble your head so much to figure out the essence. So I will speak the essence of the whole scripture in just few verses now. Forget about all the difficulties in having to review everything to understand it and figuring out the essence." Thus, the next 2-3 shlokas are Krishna's summary of entire Gita, essence of entire Gita, or conclusion of Gita. Okay, 64th shloka, he says. So Krishna has given confidential knowledge, that Brahman realization, in the 51st to 54th shlokas. You remember that? Then he gave still more confidential knowledge, that is surrendering to Super Soul, 61, 62, 63. Now he is giving the most confidential knowledge of surrendering to the Supreme Lord Krishna, personality of Krishna directly. 64th sloka. Krishna says, Sarvaguhyatamam bhuyaham Srunime paramam vachaham Ishtosi me dridhamiti Tato vakshyami te hitam Sarvaguhyatamam bhuyaha. Oh Arjuna, I am going to reveal to you Sarvaguhyatamam, the most confidential knowledge. So far I spoke to you Guhya and Guhyatara. Now Guhyatama is coming. The most confidential knowledge that I will speak to you. Srudume, hear from me. Paramam vachaha, I am going to give you supreme instruction. Ishto sime dridham iti tato vakshyami te hitam. Because you are so dear to me, I am going to give this knowledge to you. Okay, I speak this to you for your benefit. Because you are Ishta, you are very dear to me. If Krishna loves someone, then Krishna reveals everything to him. What is that? In the next two shlokas, Krishna is going to reveal the essence of Bhagavad Gita, conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. The ultimate message of Bhagavad Gita is these two shlokas. Number 1. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. In fact, Krishna has already spoken this instruction. The first 6 chapters of Gita are Karma Yoga, and the last 6 chapters are Jnana Yoga, and the middle 6 chapters are Bhakti Yoga, which are considered the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The most confidential instructions of Bhagavad Gita are there in these middle 6 chapters. And in the middle 6 chapters, the middlemost 2 chapters, 9th and 10th chapters, are very, they are the essence of essence. In that, in the middle, 9th chapter towards the end, this shloka comes, Manmana bhava madbhakto. That is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, which we have already discussed. 34 shloka, correct, 9.34. Okay. And Krishna is just repeating that essence now. In the conclusion, he completed. Jnana Yoga section is over. In one sense, these last few verses are not exactly into Jnana section. These are actually essence of Bhagavad Gita. Finally, Krishna is concluding and Sanjaya is concluding. Okay. So, what is this essence? Manmana bhava madbhakto. You surrender unto me. Manmana means you always think of me. Bhava madbhakto, become my devotee. Madhyaji, worship me. Mam namaskuru, always offer your respects to me. Mame vaishyasi, satyam te, I am going to speak to you the truth. You will definitely come to me by doing these 4 things. What are the 4 things? Manmana, think of Krishna. Bhava madbhakto, become a devotee of Krishna. Madhyaji, worship Krishna. Mam namaskuru, offer obeisances to Krishna. All 4 things are very easy. Okay. So, pratijane priyosime, I am giving you pratigna. I promise you. Priyosime, you are very dear to me. Like that. So, manmana, our concentration of the mind on Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge. Always think of Krishna. The original form of Godhead Krishna is with 2 hands carrying flute, the bluish boy. So, manmana is remembering the Supreme Lord Krishna, especially in Vrindavan. He is wearing peacock feathers. Bhava madbhakto is to become Krishna's devotee. Okay. So Krishna excludes the possibilities of becoming others' devotees. Or Krishna emphasizes here, Bhava madbhakto, become a bhakta. Don't become a jnani. Don't become a yogi. Don't become a karmi. So he eliminated karma yoga, ashtanga yoga, jnana yoga at the end. He is endorsing bhakti yoga only. Bhava madbhakto, he said. He did not say become a jnani or yogi or karmi. He says bhava madbhakto. And one should serve Krishna by all one's senses, by hearing, chanting, seeing his deity, cleaning temple, picking flowers. All services that you are supposed to do as a bhakta. Then madhyaji means worship Krishna only. You worship Krishna with all garlands and ornaments, incense, lamp, gandha, dhupa, deepa, naivedya, etc. etc. Next, mam namaskuru means to fall on the ground with the whole body. Ashtanga, sashtanga dandavat, you say, right? Sashtanga dandavat. Offer pranams to Krishna. Means touch your all 8 bodily limbs to the ground. Mame vaishyasi, you will definitely come to me by doing these 4 activities. One can attain Krishna, and this is satyam, this is truth. There is no untruth in this. So how is it possible for men whose hearts are contaminated with unlimited sins to perform these 4 items? Manmana, bhava madbhakto, madhyaji, mam namaskuru. How is it possible? It is possible. So it is possible by having complete faith in Krishna's protection. Krishna, that's why he reassures in another shloka at the end. Krishna says, Sarvadharman parityajya Mam ekam sharanam vraja Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. In the 7th chapter, 28th shloka, Krishna said, sinless people can surrender unto me easily. You remember that? So in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the last shloka, last section, Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrataha. Krishna said that. So once your sinful life is eradicated, and once you get into very pure, sinless, pious life, then it is easy for you to surrender unto Krishna, which is correct. But what about sinful people? They are still sinful. Can they not surrender to Krishna? Only when your sins are completely eradicated, you can surrender to Krishna. Krishna says, whatever you may be, you just come to me, I will take care. I am sinful. I will remove your sins. You don't worry, you come. Sarva dharman parityajya, give up all the varieties of religion that you have concocted or you have recognized. Mam ekam sharanam vraja, just surrender unto me alone. Just take shelter of me. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. Aham means me. Krishna very clearly says, I, Krishna, tvam, your sarva papebhyo, all your sinful activities. Moksha ishyami, I will liberate you. Ma shuchaha, don't worry. Don't fear. Fine. So the final conclusion is, although Krishna described so many things, various kinds of knowledge, including knowledge of Brahman, super soul, Brahman, Paramatma, Varnashram, Sannyasa, Tyaga, sense control, mind control, meditation. So many things he spoke. But finally he says, forget all this. He has described so many types of dharmas. Now in conclusion he says, give up all those processes and just surrender unto me. Krishna is instructing the whole world, taking Arjuna as the means. Oh Arjuna, I am instructing the whole world through you. So one should give up the anxiety for one's own welfare by following different other Vedic ritualistic ceremonies and many other purificatory processes. If one completely, exclusively takes shelter of Krishna, and taking shelter of Krishna has these 4 items, man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. These are very simple activities. So that makes us completely dedicated to Krishna, and that gives us full protection by Krishna. So, even in 9th chapter, Krishna says, what is that shloka? 9.22. Ananyas chintayanto mam yejanaha paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahami aham. I take care of the yoga and the kshema of everyone who surrenders unto me. Such an ananya bhakta. I personally carry the burden of the maintenance of all my devotees. Vahami aham. Right? So this is also somewhat similar to Ananyas, this Sarva Dharman Parityajya, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So having completed his teachings, Krishna will now speak the glory of Bhagavad Gita in conclusion. So after Krishna gives the conclusion, Krishna gave the conclusion. After Krishna speaks about the importance of the teachings that he has given, Arjuna shares his realizations. Then later Sanjaya concludes the Bhagavad Gita.